How did Orbs spark?
I was just, Ashley and I, we had never actually met each other in person. And she had just kind of contacted me about, possibly collaborating on music at some point in time. And she had some stuff that she had written that was like real dark, moody orchestral stuff. And I thought it was really cool. I was pretty moved by it. And we started writing stuff to that, and then, we kind of like became better friends and talking more about music, and we realized that we had this whole other side of music that we loved, stuff like Cave In and Radiohead and Muse and just all kinds of stuff, and even classical composers that we both loved a lot, like Bartók and Debussy, and then from there we just kind of took off writing in a completely different direction, and then we finally met a month later or so, and from there the album just took off. We wrote the whole thing in like 3 months in 2007 and early 2008, from like November to February. We wrote it, and Adam was in the mix pretty early on, after we had probably about 3 songs written. And the first song he wrote too was A Man of Science, and we loved it. I knew he would be. I knew from the second I met him and was on tour with his band that I would want to do something with him in the future, just because I loved his voice and his writing style. Even though he didn't write any music on the Sleep Next to Science record, I kind of wrote with him in mind still, kind of, in his voice. I've always loved, so it was cool to have him on board. And we toured a little bit last summer, and now we're doing it for real, now that the album's out. So.
Good.
It's cool, yeah.
Good. How long have you known Adam?
Going on 4 years.
Oh, that's long.
Yeah, it was fall of 2006 when we met.
Were there, after you and Ashley wrote a lot of the songs, what were the objectives that you wanted to do with Orbs?
Just, it all happened so fast, and, that we were just kind of like vibing out on our creative energy that was going, because we really wrote so fast. I mean, I never wrote so much music so quickly. I mean, we wrote 66 minutes of music in 3 months, that's insane. I had never really done that before, and it was just super exciting, and we didn't know what we were doing, we just writing, and then sure enough, we finished writing Eclipse School, and we were like, I guess we have a record, we have like a full-length album, this is crazy. And from there we knew it was going to be a bit of a wait period because everyone was really busy with their other bands, and now it's kind of we're at a point where everyone's kind of chilled out the other stuff, and now it's kind of time for Orbs to happen.
I guess I'm a little unclear on the sequence of events. You said you guys had met after talking about the project, and how soon after you met did you start writing?
Well, she was emailing me in the summer of 2007, we'll say like in July, and I would honestly say after 1 or 2 emails we were sending files back and forth, and then I think we actually met each other in person in November or October, one of the two. I flew out to Arizona for the first time in November, but we met each other while I was on tour, and like a little bit before that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How did EBR come into play, Cool Vision?
Well, we kind of, we were excited to have, Ashley and I especially were excited to be able to work with, a new label that we hadn't gotten to work with in the past. When we started writing, and, Adam from the beginning had kind of suggested EBR. He had been talking to Dan at the label about Orbs, and Dan was interested to hear it and stuff, so, naturally we sent him stuff. So I've always liked bands that were on his label, and I've always noticed that, that it seemed like they always went up and above for their bands as far as the packaging of their CDs or albums. Yeah. And I just remember just seeing really nice full-color posters everywhere for EBR bands, which I wasn't used to. And we started talking, and he's a great guy. And it took a couple years for it to really get together and happen. But we were able to build a bit of a relationship, and he's awesome. And everyone, the whole staff is great. And they're hard workers, and it's cool to have a team of people behind us.
Are you content with how the record came out?
Yeah, very much so. We had done pretty intense demoing, Ashley and I think because we didn't know what we were going to do with it, so we were like, well, we're going to make these sound as good as we can for, for our sakes and for whatever, we didn't know what the plan was. And then, we had started talking with the producer, and it didn't work out, kind of scheduling, so, we then, I knew that Jamie would be able to fit us in whenever we needed.
Jimmy King.
Yeah, just because, he's done all BTBAM stuff, and I knew he'd be psyched to do it, and luckily, our schedules lined up, and he switched some stuff around, and we went in February of 2009, and just came together, and it happened, and it's been so long since it's been done. It got wrapped up in June of that year, I think, 2009. It's been a solid year and some. And, in that time, there were breaks, like a few month breaks where I wouldn't listen to the album at all.
Really?
And then, just because, it was like, with all of us, kind of, it was weird because we were super psyched on it and super positive, but there's always this, like, nagging feeling in the back of our minds, like, it was never going to come out, Just because, we just felt that way. We were like, okay, it's done, and, we didn't know. And then finally, around January this year, we got, like, a set timeline when he was coming out in August, and we'd be on tour and stuff, so, but after not listening to it for a while and coming back to it, hearing it on different sound systems and stuff, and I was really stoked, so, still excited about it.
How do you manage two bands?
Probably tell you in like 6 months. Yeah, I'm not sure. This is the first time that Orbs has really done something with an album to support, and just looking straight forward and living day by day on tour, kind of. We're planning stuff for the beginning of the new year, and shortly thereafter. 2011 we're hoping is a big Orbs year. We're hoping to really do a lot in the beginning of the year, and in the summer. We're kind of working on plans now, so hopefully everything will come together, and we'll just be able to keep doing what we're doing right now. And we're hoping to be able to get overseas at some point.
That'd be cool.
Which is it's a thing that I know from my other band that we kind of waited a really, really long time to do, even though there were always offers on the table to go. For whatever reason, it took us years to get over. And that's something with Orbs where we've gotten some attention from magazines in the UK already, and if we had an offer, we would go, no problem. So it's something that hopefully we'll be able to, in 2011, be able to do.
Yeah. So between the Buried and Me, I know you guys are working on, or you're going to work on an EP at the end of the year. Tell me about that.
I have no idea anything about it, except that it's going to happen at some point after the Orbs tour, and not much is really written. It's really going. I think everyone's just enjoying time off at home. They are, because we've been gone for the better part of like 10 months. And I kind of just turned right around and came out with Orbs. So, we'll see. We'll be recording in December, and it'll come out in like April. So,
when you look back at who you were when you were a teenager, and you compare yourself to who you are now, how have you grown, and how have you developed as a musician?
Well, playing with Orbs is great because it brings me back to my teenage years for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm playing guitar. Predominantly, my band's from the time I was 12 until 20. When I moved to North Carolina, there were a couple of bands in it that I played bass in later on. But predominantly, I played guitar in bands, and so it brings me back to my teenage years for that reason. But also, doing the Orbs stuff, we really have a chance to be able to do things more DIY and hands-on, and play small clubs like the Cobalt, and travel around in a vegetable oil van, all kinds of stuff that I haven't gotten to do the last 5.5 years. That it's cool. It's a much more hands-on approach to touring and doing a band, and able to get a more personal relationship with people who come to the shows. We all just hang out. There's no weird barrier between people and band like I'm kind of used to, and it's fun. It definitely makes me feel like I'm in touch with who I was coming up with bands. Because that's really what we're doing. We're really starting fresh with a new band here. So.
Yeah. What keeps you motivated to continue on touring and writing music?
Well, with this, it's a totally different thing than I'm used to, and it's with 4 of my absolute best friends, which wasn't a mistake. Putting the band together, Once Ashley and I met and clicked, I was like, well, there's not going to be any random person in this band. It's going to be friends, And they were all people Ashley didn't know, but now we're all great friends. But there's that, and this is a really fun kind of music for me to write, and I love writing off of Ashley and being able to provide Adam with a really great creative writing palette for him to just go nuts and tell stories that I find interesting. That I love reading his lyrics and hearing him talk about stories and just weird stuff that goes through his head.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's totally different. And, starting fresh, starting new, it's cool because it's a challenge, Mm-hmm. I want to work really hard, and I want, to eventually get people to be able to notice outside of people who know us from our other bands, I think Orbs is a chance for us to, kind of shed who we are in our other bands and, really establish ourselves as the individuals that we are and the individual kind of persona that Orbs has from our other bands.
We were talking about Steven from Cave In. What are other artists out there right now that you're super stoked on?
Right now, there's a band called Deer Hunter.
Dude,
the Deer Hunter.
The Deer Hunter.
Yeah, that I've been trying to get on tour with one of my bands for the last couple of years, and their first, the 3 records that they have are just great. They get better and better. I love them a lot. There's a UK band called Field Music that I'm absolutely nuts for.
What are they like?
They're kind of like prog pop. It's like it's kind of like quirky Genesis, kind of like Lamb Lies Down on Broadway era, mixed with like, I don't know, Beach Boys. It's really like fun, progressive pop, and they just released a double disc that I picked up when we were in the UK in like February. And listening to it, I was so stoked because it's like 2 albums full of songs that are atypically structured, that are short songs, which just blows my mind. Like some of the structures that they have, I think is so cool, and that's something that Orbs, when Ashley and I were writing, we were paid really close attention to, like the arrangements of the songs and making sure every song was different from the one before. Naturally they kind of just took on that feeling of being different, but if there was something that we had already done in a song before, structure-wise, we were always like, we kind of did that with the last, with this song. Let's try something. Let's try this maybe. And listening to a band like Field Music, kind of makes me want to just reinvent the whole thing all over again.
Wow.
Because I feel like my next personal challenge, which is something I'd like to apply to Orbs, is writing shorter songs that are as interesting and kind of dense as a longer song, like a 10-minute long song, like people will read again or something. I'd love to find a way to do that in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, and have it be as interesting. And that doesn't mean we're gonna simplify and try and write pop songs. It's like it's a challenge, I think, to try and do something shorter but maybe bigger on a big picture type scale, like shorter songs but throughout an album that add up to something really grand instead of like 8 pretty long songs, you know. We'll see what happens. I have no idea.
That's cool.
We've already started writing stuff, Ashley and I, for our next album. And yeah.
How does that differ from what?
Oh no.
How does that differ from what you guys have going on now?
Well, I think we want to try and do something that's cohesive, start to finish. The one song that we've written for sure for the album, we have like 3 songs in the mix, and a couple of them might end up on something else. The one song we've written is very uplifting, and it's kind of a cool song that only really has 3 or 4 different themes, but you know, it's structured in a way to where it's developed into this kind of epic song that's like 7 minutes long or something. You know, it's that one we haven't experimented with shorter structures, but you know, I'm excited at the prospect of trying different stuff in the future.